Hey everyone, patch 4.1 is out for Dead Ahead Zombie Warfare, and with this patch comes about quite a few big changes as well as some small ones as well. The patch was released a couple of days ago, but I wanted to give myself a couple of days to get used to the new changes before I actually go ahead and put my input on the impact that it's had for the game. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. The first change I want to go over is the expansion done to Location 8. They've added somewhere around along the lines of like 53 new levels, I think. The levels that they've added are actually really well done. I've had a chance to play through all of them, and I really like the changes that they've implemented. They're a little bit spread thin, I guess, or inaccurate, I should say, with the range of difficulties for each of these levels. Sometimes I found some difficult levels were labeled as normal, while extreme levels or insane levels I just sort of breezed right by. But you can let me know in the comments what you think about that. Along with the expanded levels comes a new weather effect, the snowstorm weather effect. And what this does is that it reduces the ranged accuracy for all your ranged units in this weather condition. It's a fantastic weather effect. It looks amazing, and I actually don't mind it at all. It kind of makes you think twice about what kind of team you're going to send in beforehand, and it's not too much of a crippling weather effect like the thunderstorm. But yeah, very interesting overall, and it looks great. In the update posted to Reddit and Discord, the development team kind of alluded to that this would be the theme going ahead into Location 9 that they're currently working on. So I guess in Location 9, we can expect to see more cold weather areas as well as more prison-themed zombies as well going ahead. So I'm happy to see that the story is kind of developing at a pretty good pace. Honestly, I was not expecting to see the story develop at all. But yeah, so this is very much a welcome change. In Location 8, they've released a new zombie, the Escapee. This zombie is very challenging. It has two phases. It goes through your typical runner phase. It runs very fast at the base, and then upon depleting its health, it regenerates into a second phase, and the second phase, it becomes a blue zombie that is immune to ranged attacks as well as fire attacks. So that's pretty good. I found it to be quite a good challenge, especially when it comes out in pairs or in packs of 3 or more. There are 1 or 2 levels that start off with this zombie just gunning straight at the bus. So all in all, yeah, nice addition. I think some people sort of complained that they're a little dismayed that there's only just 1 zombie released, and you know, I get that, but personally, I like it. I think it's a good addition to the roster of enemies to fight. So really happy there. Moving on, they've added in 3 new skins to the game. 2 characters are receiving their first skins, and 1 faction is getting its 6 members. So these are all actually pretty good additions overall. To kick things off, let's start with the Guard, and the Guard received his Scout skin, which is a skin for the Marines faction. This is a fantastic addition to the Marines roster. Beforehand, the Marines were sort of lacking a very sturdy frontline fighter. The Guard performs this role very well. He's a great addition. On top of that, his big drawback is that when he resurrects as a zombie, he comes back as an immortal zombie, which can be a little bit of a pain to deal with. But since the Marines also have Nurse Nancy on their team, she can resurrect him, and then he doesn't come back at all as a zombie if she's maxed out. So that's a fantastic addition. Additionally, with this Scout skin is the Marines are now actually a very good, very viable PvP team. And they're essentially an alternative to the military team. So if you have enough Marines unlocked and you want to give that a try and you're sort of bored of the military teams, this is actually very good. He's very strong. He's range resistant, and with him combined with other range resistant units like the Ranger as well as the Pilot, which is Spec Ops' new skin, they make a very good, very formidable team. I've been playing around with it myself, and I won't lie, I've actually trashed quite a few opposing military teams with this. They're just super fast with the maxed out agility, as well as max out aggression. They do a great job. Marines have always been a very cohesive team in PvE, and now that carries over the skirmish as well. So if you're kind of bored of the same old, I recommend give this a try. I don't think you'll be disappointed. The drawback to the Scout skin, however, comes in his reworked final ability. Not really a drawback, I guess. I found it to be a little bit boring, so to speak. Previously, his final ability was maxed out aggression, which, sure enough, sucked. Now it's been reworked so that he does 20% extra damage on each first hit he gets on a new enemy. It's good. I mean, it's not bad. It's not great. It's just sort of middle road. I guess I'm sort of feel a little bit disappointed because I think they could have done so much better. Made something so much more interesting. The guard is sort of unique in that his crits, he has a high crit chance, and his crit attacks will do a knockback on the enemy. So I think his final ability should have played into that strength and boosted that more. So either make sort of maybe a nerfed version of what Turbo has for hers, where the knockback is further, and the further it goes depending on a particular stat. Like in Turbo's case, the higher her vitality is, the further she knocks back to the enemy. Something like that. Doesn't have to be to that extreme because Turbo's knockbacks are pretty big. Or maybe give him a chance to proc a knockback against enemies that are normally knockback immune, such as the Crank and the SWAT zombie. That also would have been a really good one to have. Anyways, final abilities that boost a prevailing strength or a unique characteristic of units are the ones that I typically like the most. So all in all, good skin to have, good unit to have. Highly recommend it if you're a fan of the Marines. Inspector Abby is the 6th skin for the jailers, and this is also really good news because prior to this, you weren't able to get 5/5 jailers unless you're willing to spend real world money to unlock the jailer skin himself. Now you don't have to do that. You can bypass that and get Inspector Abby instead. She is a great addition to the Jailers faction in a couple of ways. First of all, the 5/5 perk of having reduced cooldown on your units is really good for her. So you can just put 5/5 there, put a courage generator as your 6th unit, get more courage, and you can pump out a lot more Abbies more quickly. The good thing about Abby is that she fits in a very good role of damaging the enemy team very nicely in this faction, because jailers sort of specialize in stunning and delaying the team, but their only real source of damage comes from Sniper Polina, and Sniper Polina is a very heavy hitter, but she's also pretty slow. So she makes for a very good alternative, and her spread on her chain gun is fantastic. It'll take down a lot of enemies. I've had a lot of fun playing around with her, and I recommend her as well. I don't think this skin is as good as her default Builder skin. I think Builder Abby is still the #1 skin to have, just because it's a great faction to be in when you pop one out for free. But I do think that Inspector Abby, the Jailer skin, is better than her Mechanic skin. Just my 2 cents there. Last, and unfortunately least, is the Firefighter's first skin, Dusty, for the Rednecks. And this was kind of the skin I was hoping was the one I unlocked first, and I was hoping it would be good because I love the Rednecks faction. Rednecks is so much fun for me, and I was hoping he'd be a great addition. I sort of at first glance looked at him as a melee in between the redneck and rural chopper, but he's not as strong as Chopper, but he's cheaper. He goes at pretty much the same speed. He's just someone you could send out as something between that. However, he doesn't work out too great because his final ability of throwing a Molotov cocktail sort of screws you over, and it's a bit of a double-edged sword. So he's out there in the front lines, he dies, he throws a Molotov, and that's going to kill off all your rednecks that are up the front, and usually that's a whole lot of them. Since it's fire damage, it's going to burn them as well, preventing them from being resurrected. Since the fire is a dot damage though, in all likelihood, you're going to generate a ton of courage from doing that. However, it is going to ruin the momentum of your team, possibly, and just sort of reset things back to 0, but give you 100 courage in the meantime. That's been my overall experience with them so far. More crippling than that, however, is I just find the Firefighter to be sort of lackluster in his overall performance. He's just not very strong, and he gets outshined by other melee fighters quite easily. Really, I sort of put him on par with the builder. He's sort of in the lower tier of melee fighters. And if he's getting new skins, I think it's only fair to sort of give him maybe a bump in stats as well. Because as it stands to me, the only great thing he has going for him is that he has poison immunity and fire immunity, which is great. No bullet resistance, which is too bad, but that's fine. But I just think maybe he should be doing more damage, or he ought to be moving faster or something. He needs a buff of some sort, really, to make himself more viable. So if you're thinking about it, I wouldn't recommend him unless you're a huge fan of the rednecks. I am. But honestly, if you already have 5 for 5 unlocked for the rednecks, he's very much optional. And Rural Chopper will perform whatever task that you would have had him do just as well, if not better. Going from there, they've added, or they've reworked the Walmart event. They've reworked events totally, actually, but we'll just start with Walmart. And Walmart had its event reworked in that now, instead of just sending guys into the end of the screen, off screen, and getting points that way, collecting money, instead you build up courage, and you'll spend your courage like normal on characters, but also you need to spend courage on putting these supply boxes on a conveyor belt that'll then get shipped to your bus. You've probably played this by now because it was the first event that came out this week regarding that. Overall, I don't like the rework. I'll just say that up front now. I was really disappointed with it. And I think the reason I was disappointed is just because I couldn't figure out how to spawn a box that would have a value of 20. So boxes come in values of 5, 10, and 20. And I didn't really know what it was that would make 20s come out. It seemed like it was very much random. And I tried everything from rednecks, where I'd just have a constant stream of 100 courage, so making sure that was maxed out, to having teams that were using courage generators so I could generate enough courage to keep pumping out boxes. But it was really randomized whether I'd get a 5 or a 10 or what the value it was. So that was kind of frustrating to be. And honestly, I like the old Walmart. It was just a lot of fun. I don't think they really needed to touch it. But anyways, that change has taken place. Maybe it'll grow on me, but as it stands right now, I'm not really big on it. Also with events, however, there's a very cool, they've added in new currencies and new shops, and this is for both events as well as skirmishes. So now when you win and complete these little mini quests as well, you earn a new type of currency that you can then spend on different items. For the events, it's all the same. You can buy everything pretty much. You can buy everything from potions to rage potions, courage potions, reroll coins, money, everything. You can see it for yourself, really. That's fantastic. It's nice to have choices and alternatives because not everyone needs the same thing. And the equation of, at least for skirmish, of keys to coins, keys to points is pretty much the same. So if you're in that top, was it 6 or top 8? I think it is the top half of the team that would normally have gotten a red key after 2 days. The points that you get would equate to being able to purchase 2 blue keys. So the metric is the same, except this time, if you want to do something else, purchase something else, maybe you're full on items, you don't need anything else, you can do that. So options are fantastic, and this is a really welcome change, and I think it's great to have. The events have these little mini quests that you can kind of run through and gain extra items, extra points for doing these quests. At the moment, I will caution you on be careful not to go blow through a bunch of tickets trying to complete all these quests, because the Halloween event is just right around the corner. And if you don't have all the skins for the Halloween event, you'll want to save your tickets for that event. So don't go blowing through tickets in the next day or two. Hopefully you haven't done it yet already. In the next couple of events, trying to fulfill all these mini quests, save your tickets, save it for Halloween. You'll probably want to use it then and get all the skins if you don't have those yet, as well as anything new that they might add in between now and then. Speaking of skins and getting new ones, just also to be aware that Policeman Diaz's Desperado skin will be up for grabs at the end of the month as well. So be sure that you save up at least 300 in-game currency for that, so you can purchase that as well. I highly suspect that the Desperado skin is going to be created into a faction of some kind within the next few months. So just my own suspicion, but take it for what it is. Moving on to some of the crappier changes comes a few nerfs, and I will start with the largest, most prevailing nerf, and that is the mechanic. The mechanic got nerfed. His cost went up from 15 to 20, as well as he is very heavily impacted by a fix for the gentleman item set. The gentleman item set was very much like the go-to set for the mechanic. I'll go through both of those. So first of all, his cost nerf. His cost nerf is fine. It doesn't bother me one bit. This is just my 2 cents on it. I don't like me weighing in. I think it's disappointed a lot of people. I sort of understand it. He is very powerful, and to kind of give you insight into that mine mechanic, when he had hit with his sledgehammer, hits for 1400 prior to the damage increase. That's quite a bit for a single hit, and most likely, he's going to kill. He was killing twin zombies on location 8 in a single hit. That's, and for 15 base costs, that's really good. The gentleman set fix, I can see that it's a double whammy against him in particular. How it worked, how it was working previously was that when the mechanic comes out with his sledgehammer, he was already going to get that 50% damage added to his first swing, which is not the way it was supposed to be intended. It was supposed to take effect after a critical hit. But because his critical hit was guaranteed, I guess this item set just sort of had it permanently kicked in that he was always going to hit for an extra 50% damage so long as he had his hammer. Now what happens is it's working as intended. He's going to come out. He's still going to crit. He always crits with his sledgehammer, but he'll crit for normal damage. If he kills the enemy, he'll then get that 2-second time frame where his next hit will have 50% damage added to it. It's not the worst nerf in the world, simply because he swings his hammer so quick, so often anyways. So what happens now is he comes out, he gets a regular crit with his hammer. If he kills the enemy, his next sequential hits will then get that 50% damage added to it. And he swings it so fast, he's going to be getting that buff anyways. So yeah, a nerf to him, but at the same time, I kind of get it. And I think it's sort of a response actually to his high performance in the Metro. So just a guess on that. Molotov got a 25% buff. The mechanic faction got a very minor nerf, where previously the 3-man bonus was that if he had 2 unique units on the field, he sent out a 3rd unique unit, there's a 25% chance of a turret drop. That's still at 25%. Nothing's changed there. Previously, if you sent out the welder, a guaranteed drop for the turret would occur. This has now been changed and reduced to 50%. The welder isn't really a highly used character anyway, so this is really sort of a very minor nerf, and I don't really think much of it. Marauders got buffed. All of their stats got buffed, anywhere from 10 to 15%, it seems, for the most part. Some of them a little bit higher. I've seen it as far as up to 30% at first glance. Really cool. Marauders are very fun to fight against, so they're just a little bit tougher. I suspect maybe one of the reasons for this nerf was to stop Carol from doing like easy mode kills in the Metro against the Marauder stages. So once in a while, you'd come across a Marauder stage in the Metro where, at least from my experience, it was always the Marauder that threw a grenade and the Marauder that used a pistol. And what you could do previously is that if you had a really beastly Carol, she could come out and just one-shot both of them, and you would be done that stage in less than 10 seconds. I guess now, I haven't tried it yet, but I suspect maybe she can't do that anymore, and their health has been buffed to a point where that's no longer possible. But who knows, maybe someone's got a really good Carol out there that can still do it, I'm not sure. And there's just been a couple of other small buffs as well. The Demon Zombie does a little more damage as well. All in all, that seems to cover most of what the changes are in the game. Oh, and sorry, no, not quite. The last huge change is the damage increase. So everything, stats, health, damage, it all got increased by tenfold. And this was the most overwhelming change for me to try and get used to. This is the reason why I didn't make this video until now. Because at first I really didn't like the change. I just thought it's just too much numbers splashing across my screen. I found it very unnecessary. I liked the way everything was worked before. Leveling up characters to level 13 instead of 30, that was fine. 13 is a good number. The numbers that were rolling through, you know, in the hundreds and maybe the low thousands for more powerful characters, that was fine too. I really didn't see much of a point in having to do that. So I don't know why they did such a huge inflation on all stats. It's just, it kind of boggles me. Usually when games, as they get aged, usually what happens is you get a number crunch. So this is the first time I've ever seen that. Let me know what you think. Maybe you can shine some light onto that, but I really don't know what's behind that. But anyways, even now, I've sort of gotten used to it, but I don't really like the change and I wish they'd go back to it. That's all I got to say for this. Thank you very much for watching and hope to see you in the next one.